Hello, YouTube. Steve here, and welcome to the Inebriate Murse. Sit down, pour yourself a beverage of your choice, and I hope you enjoy the story I'm about to share with you. This particular story comes from my time working on a medical surgical unit in the hospital that I've spoken about previously. This particular unit, as I mentioned before, deals with a lot of colorectal surgeries and whatnot. This particular case began in the ER, as many of these do. Uh, Middle-aged gentleman and his wife were trying to spice up the bedroom a little bit and decided to bring a toy into the bedroom. For lack of a better term to describe it, it was a cock and balls dildo, a penis, scrotum, battery pack, little vibrating device. Uh, at some point in the evening, and depending on whether you ask the husband or the wife, one of them stuck this object too far into the man's rectum and it got lodged. Uh, they tried unsuccessfully to try to remove it and ended up escalating the situation to the emergency room. Now, as urban emergency rooms go, they can get quite busy, as is ours. And this poor gentleman had to wait for some time in a crowded waiting room. Now, picture this gentleman. He's sitting on a hard bottom plastic seat with something vibrating in his butt. And so he's sitting there, bzz, 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 like a cell phone on vibrate. Uh, had to be a completely awkward experience. They finally get him back to the room after some time and then ended up paging the colorectal surgeon to come in. And this particular surgeon was on call from home, as most are, so it took him about another 20 minutes to get there. Well, between the time it took to get to the ER room, the time they messed around with it, the time it took for the surgeon to get there, the battery died in this thing. And so surgeon enters the room, and the first words out of his mouth, and I kid you not, he asked, "Would you like me to remove the item or just change the battery?" I nearly died. I had to walk out of the room. I couldn't even, I stayed out of the room for the rest of the consultation. Long story short, this guy ends up going to surgery. They had to do a colectomy to remove this thing. So he lost a part of his colon and had to have an ostomy placed, a permanent ostomy. So now this poor guy is going to be pooping in a bag the rest of his life, thanks to a spicy evening in the bedroom. Well, I ended up assuming care of the gentleman when he moved back up to the floor, and we're putting him in this semi-private room because that's all we had available. And he and his wife were having a fight over who stuck it in too far. You had to be there, guys. The gentleman in the bed next door was just absolutely mortified, covered, pulled up to his face, just not sure how to react. So we get that awkward task done, and I go out to the desk, and the surgeon's looking at an X-ray of the situation, pre-op, and that left nothing to the imagination as to what had happened to this poor guy. And I wish I could have had a picture of it to share with y'all. It was memorable to say the least. I asked the surgeon, why didn't you just remove it? Why'd you have to do this colectomy? And he looks at me with a very straight face and he says, "Well, son, once you've gone balls deep, there's no going back." He wasn't joking. That was just the way he described it. And again, almost lost it. I just shook my head and I said, "Can I quote you on that, doc?" And he looks at me very indignantly. He goes, "No, you may not." And at that, I just chuckled and walked away. Couldn't even go any further. Well, guys, if you found this story amusing or you just have some morbid curiosity and would like to hear what I come up with next, please do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell if you want to be the first to know when new content drops. That kind of stuff really helps. And if you have a story of your own to share, you can always email me at inebriatemurse@gmail.com. Until then, do me a favor, have a drink and a laugh on me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.